reason why I brought up initially in this podcast episode, like this was all sparked by seeing competitors that offer board and trains and say 2 free follow-up sessions, because like this is a client that's done follow-up sessions and it's been like 4 or 5 months or something like that since the dog has done training with us, and they just wanted to do a little touch-up. They say, hey, you know, like our dog acted a little, I think it was literally, the dog has been fine, but the dog, we had some company come over the other day and the dog was just like acting a little funny around them, and we just want to make sure that we're doing everything right.
Yeah.
Logical thing to want to do, right? And I'm happy to help you make sure you're doing things right. So I go there, and same deal. I told them, before I come over, I want you to do everything exactly how you normally would do it when people come over. I said, do not change what you're doing just because I'm coming over the house. And because of that, we saw a couple of things, but one major thing that prior to this we would have never seen before.
Oh.
Right? Okay.
Give it to us.
So I walk in the house, and they put the dog on the bed, which was good. And the dog broke it a couple times, but the dog went back and held the command, right? But one big thing, the e-collar wasn't on the dog.
Oh.
Wasn't on the dog. And they said right off the rip, they said, you said do everything how we normally do. They said, you know, Mac, his name is Mac. They said, Mac, he doesn't wear the e-collar in the house. You know, so we didn't put it on. They're like, we have it right here. It's on the counter. You know, we always put it on first training sessions, but you said, you know, what do we normally do? And normally it doesn't have the e-collar. And I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Because normally they're coming to a training session, right? Or I'm coming to a training session. So they would have had the e-collar on him because they put the e-collar on when they go to training sessions.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't do it when people come over. So this is fine, right?
Yeah,
like, no, this is fine. I'm not even trying to like dig on it because frankly, even without the e-collar, they had pretty good control of him. Yeah. It was good. You know what I mean? But that's a problem, right? So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I was like, this is where you get into, and I told him the same thing. Routines, patterns, predictability. I was like, we need to have good routines for how you're handling things. And the situation they had was he kind of holds the bed when people come over, right? But then he gets a little excited and then he gets off and they put him back on. There's no real consequence for it. So we can't like settle the mind much.
Right.
And then when they go to release him, they don't really know how to have guests interact with him. Right? So I walked them through. This is my routine of what I do 100% of the time people come over my house. Right? Okay. I said it starts before the people come in. Put the e-collar goes on. Yeah. Put the e-collar on. Starts before people come in. When people come over, e-collar goes on. Right? Yeah. And actually, this gets back to more routines and predictability. E-collar use. Yeah. We'll just touch on this real quick. My routine, I've said it 20 million times. When people come over, when we go off leash anywhere, and when we go anywhere outside of the house, I put the e-collar on my dog forever and ever for the end of time. That one routine alone. Again, if you're not doing that, do that. Follow it to a T, and everything will be so much better than it was before if you're not already doing it.
So much.
Right? So it starts with that. But from there, I'm going to break this down as easy as possible. Okay. This is an easy one, right? And again, follow my words so literally. So literally.
Yeah.
E-collar on the dog before people come over. Put the dog onto the bed. Right?
Yep.
Before people come in, put the dog onto the bed. I could put a caveat on like when you should put the dog on the bed. Like a lot of people say, like, do I put the dog on the bed before people come in, or before people get to the door, or after people get to the door? If you could follow my words literally, what I do, I wait until the person knocks on the door. Then I put my dogs on the bed.
Yep.
Why do I do it that way? Because I'm creating a pattern that knock means go to your bed. Yeah. Knock means go to your bed, right? Can you do it the other way? Yes, but follow my words literally and do it that way, and you'll see further improvement with things. Okay. Right? Put the dog on the bed. Again, enforce criteria strictly with the e-collar. Not too difficult, right? From there, 15 to 20 minutes. And when I say 15 to 20 minutes, I don't mean 3 to 5 minutes. I don't mean 5 to 7 minutes. Yeah. I don't mean 7 to 10 minutes. I mean 15 to 20 minutes. Set a timer on your phone if you feel like, because some people like really like, they could lose track of time in positive or negative ways. They could like have the dog on there for 3 minutes and be like, yeah, it's been a half an hour. Yeah. Right? Or they could have the dog on for, you know, an hour and think it's only been 20 minutes, right? Yeah. Set a timer on your phone, 15 to 20 minutes. I have found 15 to 20 minutes to be the sweet spot for the amount of time it takes for the dog to experience the people being in the house, the initial arousal of the people being in the house come down a little bit. And usually after 15 to 20 minutes, the people have walked around the house a little bit, where the dog has kind of seen them and experienced it and stuff like that.
For sure.
Right? I got to add one more caveat to things too. What I'm about to say is with dogs that are not absolute man eaters. Yeah. If you have an if you have a dog that is going to seriously injure your guests, do not follow this routine. There are separate routines for that.
Yeah.
Right? This is for like the majority of the population.
Yeah.
That has dogs. Right? Okay. Maybe a little skittish, a little fearful, you know.
Yeah.
No major risk of bites, but you know. So 15 to 20 minutes, right?
Okay.
At that point, release your dog off the bed. But try your hardest to instruct your guests to just ignore the dog still, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between the dog acclimating to the guests from the bed versus being free to kind of make some choices and go and sniff and this and that. And for some dogs, if they come over, maybe they're a little nervous, they give a little sniff to the person. And as soon as they do that, the person's like, hi.
Yeah.
Not that, again, with these dogs, you're not running the risk of like the dog seriously injuring the person, but it can really spook them and kind of, you know, be counterproductive, if you will, right? So follow that routine. Make sure that you follow that routine to a T, 15 to 20 minutes, and release the dog. And usually for about 5 minutes or so, let the dog explore freely without the need of people kind of bombarding them with space. Mm-hmm. From there, if your guests want to interact with your dog, you have to have them follow these rules. Now, again, are there some dogs you don't have to follow these rules for? Sure. But even if you have those dogs, if you follow these rules, you're going to avoid so much conflict. Sure. If you want to interact with my dog, try to call him over to you loosely, not like, come, you know, because, you know, like we're basically putting the dog in a position where we're saying, do you want to be interacted with or not? We're not forcing you to come over to the person. So try to call them over to you. Do they come over? If they do, great. Interact with them, pet them. Life's good. Everybody's happy. If they look at you with the side eye and say, I'm comfortable right now, I don't really feel like coming over there, whatever, ignore them. Respect their boundaries. Respect their space. Make sure that they understand you're not going to force these interactions on them. Let me even throw out another trigger word. Let your dog consent to the interaction. This is the one place that I think that is appropriate, because do your guests need to interact with your dog? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely fucking not. And getting back to the situation that my clients ran into, because again, they were following this ish, right? Like, I mean, for the most part, they were kind of following this, sans the e-collar, sans 15 to 20 minutes exactly. Mm-hmm. And they did release the dog and have people ignore it initially, but the place they went wrong is they had a guest come over that they wanted to interact with the dog, and the dog didn't want to interact with them, and they made the poor decision. And I say this like they know this. I told them this as well, right? They made the poor decision of they grabbed the dog. They were like, come here, held him by the collar, and were like, come on over. You could pet him. Yeah. They absolutely forced the interaction on the dog. And listen, again, like when it comes to vet visits and grooming and stuff, there are situations you have to force an interaction like that. And there are times we have to train that picture, right? But that's not the situation where we're training that picture. No. If we were going to train that picture, there's a whole nother routine that we would have to implement in order for that to go successfully. Yeah. Right? This is not the situation. No. Right? So that's the routine for guests coming over. I'll outline it one more time for you guys to follow to a fucking T. You ready? E-collar on the dog before people come over. After the person knocks on the door or rings the doorbell, put your dog onto the bed, enforce it strictly. Have your dog hold the bed command for 15 to 20 minutes when people come over the house. Release the dog to be free without people interacting with the dog for roughly 5 minutes. Once you've done that, if people want to interact with the dog, they try to call the dog over to them. If the dog comes over, you could interact. If the dog doesn't come over, that's the dog saying, I don't want you to interact with me right now. And respect those boundaries. And then end on a positive note. That's it. Follow those, and your dog's going to feel comfortable when guests come over the house.
Yeah.